Hello Explorers, Kitty Explorer here, and I'm back with my quarterly update about what's happening in Kitty Explorer's world. So make sure you stay tuned to the end because I have a Q&A today. So it's going to be a little bit different. I have people submit questions from Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube, of course, for me to answer for you today. So let's get into today's video. And before we do, I am Kitty Explorer, of course, and on my channel I talk about all things travel, photography, and sustainability. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. It is free for you to do so you can stay tuned and be notified when all of my videos are released. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Now let's get into today's video. So very briefly, you know, I have plenty of goals for the year, but I have did some resetting because I have shifted some things. That happens throughout the year. One of the things that I really wanted to do, which I keep pushing off from year to year, is to get a cleaning person. But since Uncle Joe, he and his administration relieved $10,000 of student loan debt, I am going to try to conquer paying off my student loans within the next year. So I'm like, I need all the coins I can get. So I'm putting cleaning person into 2023. Learning French, I do have a plan for that, which I'll discuss later. But that may not really happen in 2022. And for the most part, those are the two things that have really changed for the year. And I'll discuss more when I do my full year review in December or January time. So now let's get into the Q&A. I have, how many questions? I have 13 questions. Like I said, from people who submitted on here on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And I can't remember who submitted all of these questions. I wrote them down because I wanted them all in one place instead of going between applications. So I'm going to answer these questions and hopefully this is insightful for you. Some of the questions may actually be helpful for other people as well. So let's get into these questions. So the first question, where can one learn some basic photography tips on a phone? So there are a couple different ways, and that gives me an idea. I should probably do a video about phone photography because that's what a lot of people are using when they travel is their phone. But there are a couple things. If you live in the Atlanta area, every once in a while, the Atlanta School of Photography will have courses specifically for taking photography on your phone. I have seen them. I haven't went to them. I have been to plenty of their other courses and they are really great and they're usually pretty affordable. And it's usually, since that will be a workshop, it'll just be like a couple hours. But if you don't want to do something in person, you can also, of course, look here on YouTube. And like I said, I will have to create a video on this topic eventually. There's a lot of different photography classes on Creative Live, and that's another resource for you to use. So you definitely want to learn how to use your phone so you can have the best photos when you travel the globe. So I'm going to do a video about phone photography. I have an iPhone, so I can't speak for other phone users, but at least it'll be similar tips. So I will put that on my list for a future video. Okay, so the next question, I definitely know who submitted this one. So number 2, when are you traveling to India? Very great question. And I'm going to talk about like how I decide travel because I believe that's one of my other questions down the road here. But one, when there's a flight deal, because usually flights are really expensive from this part of the US to India, and it's a long flight. So I need a lot of vacation time too. So one day it will happen. I just don't know when. Okay, number 3, how did I get interested in drones? So if you've seen a prior video, I do have a drone. I haven't been practicing as much as I should with the drone because when I got it, I was dealing with cancer issues with my dog, and then he passed away at the end of last year. And then I've just been incredibly busy with, like, it seems like a million things. So I haven't been able to fully get into it. But what got me interested in drones is the photography and being able to take it to some places, because some countries do ban drones or they ban drones for tourists. There's a lot of different rules for drones across the globe in every single country, and they're always different. But I really love the fact that I could get a different view of that landscape of where I am in. Or in my case, my drone has a follow me mode, so it can actually follow me and give me different footage when I'm traveling or what have you. So I love seeing that with other people and the different footage that people was grabbing. And so I'm like, let me try drone photography. It is not for the weak. No, it is not for the weak. All right, number 4, we're getting through these questions. How do you keep up with your consistency on Instagram? Great question, because Instagram is also not for the weak. So for me, I have a lot of things going on. You know, I own my own photography business. I have YouTube and I have a full-time job. I need to have a social life. I need to work out and I have to cook and take care of my home. I have a lot of things going on. So for me to maintain social media, I actually have a calendar. So just this past week, I sat down and I opened up the calendar for October. I have a spreadsheet, an accountant at life. I always have that in my mind. But I opened up a spreadsheet, I put the dates on the calendar, and I started plugging away. And I know, like, okay, I'm gonna have these videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I already have the topics for those videos planned out for over the next month. So I just plug those into the social media form. And then I know on Mondays, I do something about the environment. Wednesdays is usually some type of past travel adventure, Wanderlust Wednesday. Tuesday in the morning, I forgot to mention, I do a travel tip. And Friday, again, is some type of, I'm taking you traveling somewhere. And then Tuesday and Thursday, like I said, I have my YouTube videos. So I know that structure, and that's something that I set up, and I know what times that I try to post, and I have those topics set out. So when it comes to every Sunday, I sit down and I schedule all of my posts for the week, because I am so busy. I can't do that during the week. If I wait until Monday and my post is supposed to come out around noon Eastern time on Monday and I don't have it scheduled, I'm gonna run into either a stressful situation or it's not gonna post, which I've learned a long time ago. So I always schedule on Sunday and have all of that pre-planned for the entire week so it is consistent. I do have set times where things come out, but it doesn't always come out at that time, especially when I'm traveling, because I need internet access in my phone, whatever. That's a whole different story. But yeah, that's how I stay consistent, is just planning ahead, planning topics ahead. I'm not gonna plan all of my posts for an entire month. I can't sit down and do that. My attention will be like, man, you cannot do this for a whole month. So I plan out all the topics for a whole month. And then on Sundays, I plan my whole week. Like I schedule a post for the whole week. All right, number 5, what camera or lens do you primarily use for travel photography? Ooh, that's kind of loaded. So I have multiple cameras, and my favorite camera is kind of heavy, what I use for my portrait photography here, and it is more expensive than what I would like to travel with. So I usually don't take that camera for travel photography. I usually will take, especially now, my Sony ZV-1, which is my vlogging camera, but it also takes really nice photos. So I may take that one, or I will take my old Nikon camera, because it's so old, it's not as expensive as it used to be. So if something happens to it, I'm fine with it. But my Nikon, what is it? D3200 DSLR camera. For the lens, if I'm taking the Nikon DSLR camera, I usually take my prime lens. I really love the prime lens, 50mm. And if I have space, I will take a wide angle lens. But I'm always gonna have a prime lens because it's smaller for me to travel with and it doesn't take up much space. And I'm usually taking a lot of different things with me in my bag, so I can't carry every single attachment. Unless I know I'm doing something where I need a certain lens. Like, so I may take a telephoto lens depending on what I'm going to photograph, but I'm never gonna take all of my lenses. So my go-to is the D3200 with the prime lens, 50mm. But recently I've been taking my Sony ZV-1 camera, which I just use the lens that is on it, which is a zoom lens. Okay, number 6, this is a long question. How do you plan on where to go next? There are a lot of destinations. How do you choose where you're headed to on your next trip? So there's multiple things. 9 times out of 10 for the last few years, especially pre-pandemic, it's been a little different in planning travel the last couple of years. But I usually book a flight through Scott's Cheap Flights. I want to travel to pretty much anywhere that is available that I haven't traveled before. So if Scott's Cheap Flights sends me an email and says, hey, flying out of Atlanta with the Sky Team is this flight on these in these months, going to this location. I might jump on it and book it because it is a cheaper flight. I'm getting discounted. Since I travel a lot, I need to find discounted travel. So that's usually my number one. But there are times where I really want to go a certain place. Like this past summer, I promised my niece to take her to Paris 2019 during Christmas. And so that was a pre-planned trip. So that was already on my list of things to do. So sometimes they are pre-planned, but right now, 90% of the time, I'm using discounted travel deals and just booking from there. That's usually how I go about picking where I'm going next. And most of the time, I don't go back to a location I've been before. There are only a few places that I will go to more than once, which is Paris and Turks and Caicos, and where my family's from. That's pretty much it. And then, some destinations in the US I might frequent more than once because it's easy to get to. But that's how I pick my upcoming destinations. Number 7, would you like to live overseas permanently? Permanently, like meaning I'll never come back to the United States? I don't think so, because a lot of my family members don't even have passports, and I don't even know if they would get one to travel outside of the country. But I would love to go and take a sabbatical from the United States, live in another country and explore that country, learn culture, relax, and get away from this fast-paced, crazy lifestyle of the United States. Yes, I would do that. Forever, I don't know. TBD. Okay, this next question I got several times from people in different variations, but what is your favorite and least favorite place you have traveled to and why? Favorite place, Paris, France. I love the food, I love the culture, I love the language, I love the sights. It's just the whole vibe for me. And what really kicked it off was the Black Paris tour. When I first went to Paris, I landed there and I felt like I belonged. And that's why I love Paris, France. My least favorite place will probably be China. I am not something to look at. When you're in China, people will stare at you sometimes like you're a disease because I am a Black American. Or they're like, your hair is different. Let me touch. Like Solange said, please don't touch my hair. So China, I really love the history. I really love seeing the architecture, but one time and done for sure with China, unless for some reason I work somewhere and I have to go there. But I don't want to be stared at like I'm a disease or thinking that I'm related to Kobe Bryant. Yes, someone asked me that when I was in China. Was I related to Kobe Bryant or knew Kobe Bryant or something like that? Or am I Beyonce? I don't know. You get weird questions. You get weird questions at times over there. So I don't like that. I don't want to be stared at like I'm Beyonce or a disease. Okay, number 9. What program do I use for editing? So the program I use for editing my YouTube videos, I use 2. I usually edit my videos in segments. So the chapters that you see in my YouTube videos, that is how I edit, by chapter. Because sometimes technical issues happen and it's better to have a technical issue on a chapter than the whole video. So I edit in 2 ways. So when I just edit and put things together in a chapter, I use Adobe Rush because I can use it from my phone as well as my computer, and they can sync to each other. Once I get the chapters together, then I compile them in Premiere Pro so I can put more special effects and stuff like that and transitions with the video. For photography, I use Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom for light editing. And then for more manipulative editing, I use Photoshop. All right, we're getting through these questions. Number 10, how long did it take for me to get my passport? And is there any other steps involved when traveling to another country? Is there an embassy visit needed? So when I got my first passport, it was so long ago, I don't remember. Probably 2011-ish. So I don't remember how long it took. When I renewed my passport at the beginning of 2020, I got it back in a month. And when my niece got her first passport, when I renewed mine, hers took about a month, 2 months. So I don't know how the processing is right now. We just came out of the Rona and stuff, or we're not, pandemic lifestyle, but processing times can vary. If you are traveling to another country, it depends on what you're traveling for. Some countries don't care if you're a tourist and you can go into that country for up to 90 days with no issue, no additional documentation. Some countries, maybe not. You may need a visa or travel authorization. If you're going for business, a lot of times when I did travel for business, most countries required me to have a visa. And when you need a visa, you have to go to the embassy located in the United States or send your passport off with the application to that embassy to get it processed. So that is when you would have to go for a visa. So make sure you check out and research every time you get ready to go somewhere to see if you need a visa for tourist or business purpose or whatever you're traveling for before you head on out, because you won't be able to get into that country without the proper documentation. I usually use CIBT.com to help me determine if I need documentation to enter that country. Number 11, do I prefer studio or outdoor photography? I love outdoor photography because your background is limitless. It can always be different, even if you're in the same place, because outside is different. But I do love studio photography because you can play around with lighting and have special effects, and the environment can be a little bit more controlled. But I love outdoor photography. Okay, number 12. What was the first place you went solo? Any recommendations for someone who would like to start traveling solo but is afraid? I'm sure I went to some places in the US first solo, but I can't remember. But my first international solo trip was to Belize in 2016. And I picked Belize because there was a flight deal. But what I recommend for people to start travel solo, I do have several videos on my channel about traveling solo, which I'll link the playlist down below. But to start traveling solo, start small. Start doing things solo in your local city where you feel more comfortable. Do a staycation in a nearby hotel or Airbnb where you can easily go back home in a day or two. Or maybe just take yourself out to dinner or to a movie or something in your local area so you can get used to doing something solo. Then spread your wings and go to another city in your state or country. Or if you're in the US, go to another state, then go abroad. But if you're afraid of going solo, don't jump from never doing anything solo to going abroad, at least in my recommendation. And the last question, what is next on your bucket list for travel? What is next for me? I have 2 places that are on my bucket list that I just haven't been able to go to. One, Antarctica is the last continent that I want to get to and need to get to, in my opinion, but it is really, really expensive to get there. And I have some other goals that I want to get to before spending all that money. And then the Maldives, because I think it's beautiful with all of the islands and bungalows and all that stuff. So those are my 2 on my bucket list. All right, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about me in this Q&A, and thank you to everyone who submitted questions for me to answer. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. It's free to do so, and it helps me provide more and better content to you in the future. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. Please share this video with your friends, family, and social media networks so they can learn a little bit more about Kitted Explorer. And make sure you head on over to kiddedexplorer.darkroom.tech to purchase you a print to help decorate your space. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day or night wherever in the world you are. Bye.